You know, it's funny about the law of karma. I just want to say something about it because it's really misunderstood, because we often think that, you know, that something might be unfair, or that karma is like punishment, or there's some kind of, I don't know, just the thing to realize about karma is it's a natural law. It's a law. It's a law of nature, just like gravity is a law. Gravity is not fair or unfair. It's simply what it is. And, you know, if someone, you know, if a little baby is crawling on a balcony and they fall off and plunge to their death, well, that's not a very pleasant thing to think about. But it's fair. It's fair. It's sad, but that's the law of gravity. It's the way it works. Gravity wasn't punishing that baby. It's just doing its law. It's just the law. Anything would plunge to its death if it fell off the balcony. But we can say, oh, but that's bad. But is it bad? It's the same law that keeps us on the earth rather than flying off somewhere. You know? It's simply the law, just like the nature of fire is to burn and to clarify. That's its nature. It's not bad when it burns you and good when it cooks you. It's just the nature of what it is. And it's the same way with our karma. There's no judgment. The karma, our difficulty and our negativity and our pain comes from our ego. Our ego superimposed upon the eternal being that we are. Like I said earlier, that limitation, that limited nature, the limited expression of the planets, and thinking that we're this limited thing, we create the suffering because of our ignorance. And karma is the law that teaches us. It's really the great liberator, because it shows that everything we do has a consequence that we get to experience. Everything that happens, the pain that we have, we've brought it on. Maybe we don't remember it in this lifetime, but it happened. Usually we remember it. But it's not like we're being punished like God is punishing us. It's simply the result so that we can learn to do the thing better. Like, for instance, you can say, if you stick your hand in a fire, the fire, you know, you get burned. That doesn't mean that God is punishing you for the sin of putting your hand in fire by burning you, or karma is punishing you for doing it. It's simply to teach you the nature of fire. If you keep putting your hand in fire, it's not God keeps punishing you, it's that your failure to learn that law, learn that thing. And it's the same with, if we keep making the same mistakes, it's not that God keeps punishing us over and over. It's that our ignorance, we're not learning it, and we keep getting the pain so we can learn it. And so karma is a law that teaches us who we really are. And the painful things that come back based on our karma, it's not like the planets are punishing us or saying, here's your bad karma and you're getting punished for it. It's because we've misused that. If we keep getting the same thing over again, it's because we haven't learned that lesson, and the only way we can learn it is in a painful way. Because we have many opportunities to learn it in a wise and an unpainful way. But we don't learn it until this severe pain comes, or some kind of pain, because of our ignorance with the thing. And it's usually because we avoid it. That's what usually happens. When I talk more about the astrology, I'll show you how this happens, because what we tend to do is we tend to gravitate toward those things that are strong in us and avoid those things that are weak in us. And then we tend to only experience the things we're avoiding when it's painful, because we've been avoiding just dealing with that thing and trying to just deal with things through the agencies of the planets that are strong. But you see, each one of these planets only does what they do. They don't do everything really well. They only do one thing well. And if we got one of these strong, like let's say we have this Mars really strong, but we have Venus really weak. Mars is supposed to do Mars stuff. He's great at it. He's perfect for it. But if Mars tries to do Venus stuff, it's going to be a lot of trouble. If Mars tries to do Mercury stuff, it's going to be a lot of trouble. If Mars starts trying to talk, it ain't going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a big argument. If Mars tries to love and compromise, it's going to be a lot of trouble. You see? So what happens is we have these attractions and aversions in our personality. Forget astrology. It's just true, right? We all know it. Astrology just shows it. It just shows what they look like. Oh, this person's got a really strong Mars, and be like, oh, that's great. And astrologers start like slobbering all over how great it is. But it's great, but it's also, you also should know they're going to use it probably a lot more than they need to. So Mars stuff will be strong, but then if Mercury is really weak, then you're going to see Mars interfering with Mercury business because Mercury doesn't feel so comfortable, but Mars does. So this is how this stuff kind of happens. This is how these imbalances happen, and how you can see it astrologically. You see what I mean? And so the karma that comes as a result, let's say, of Mars putting his nose in Mercury's business, it's not because Mercury's punishing us or Mars is punishing us. It's so that we'll learn to be more, to do what's appropriate. That's really, when you look at these great beings, these divine beings, you see they don't have attractions and aversions. They kind of take things and they use whatever they need to use in the moment. They're the master of the karma. They're master of the elements, of the planets. It's not that they're beyond them, because if you're on this plane, you have to. These are the players, whether you're enlightened or not. A person who has become enlightened is now, they're master of the energies, but the energies are still there. Like I spent a lot of time with my guru Amma, and you see how she pivots from one thing to the next. I sit there and watch. It's amazing to watch, because she'll go from being totally like the sun, giving all the power, to being the moon, to being Mercury and flexible, to being Mars, disciplined, to being Jupiter. I mean, and whatever is appropriate. It's not like she has this real strong Mars and uses it all the time. It's whatever is appropriate. And this is what these divine beings do. They don't have these attractions and aversions. So, a little aside, but it's important to know the nature of karma when you talk about astrology and you start looking at it, because we have karma with these elements and with these planets, and none of it is to punish us. This is a real Western concept. I mean, that's how it's talked about, isn't it? Like, it's my karma with it, my bad karma. All the bad karma we bring. Anything other than what we're doing through our mistakes is all divine grace. Because, like they say, you take one step toward God and God takes 100 steps toward you. And when it doesn't work out like that, it's not because God doesn't punish us in the Eastern sense. That's a Western idea, that there's a duality between, sometimes, it's, God gives out, it's like a series of carrots and sticks, In the Eastern sense, it's not like that. God is all benevolent. And our pain comes from our ignorance and failure to know that we are also that. And so we can understand that through the paradigm of the planets and the specifics of what we are. We are this, if it's Jupiter, we're this pure hope and optimism and wisdom. Mars, pure courage. Venus, pure love. Mercury, pure flexibility. That's who we truly are. And when you see the planets get in difficulty, then we're acting out of step with that divine nature that we really are. And we bring on the pain of that through our karma.